Good evening and welcome to this week in review. Tonight's stories include Canada Day celebrations, summer student employment is down from last year, let's meet the new Mountie, update on the council renovations. These stories plus community events, the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack and more coming up after this.
This is the place where the dawn breaks earliest, the new year comes soonest, where the Atlantic first meets the New World, the oldest city in North America, the far east of the Western world. Imagine that.
Canada Day celebrations was a success again this year. A large crowd gathered at the Sandbanks Provincial Park on a cloudy and warm day to celebrate our country's birthday. Anne Brown welcomed everyone to the celebrations on behalf of the Recreation Commission. Rebecca Young got the festivities underway by singing "O Canada."
So let's put our hands together for Rebecca Young. She's going to sing "O Canada."
O Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
A&A Disco played music all afternoon for everyone's entertainment and for you to have a dance if you felt inclined to do so. There were also races for the younger people to take part in. They seemed to be enjoying the afternoon of competitions. Ribbons were awarded to the winners. At approximately 4 p.m., the Rec Commission served burgers and pop free of charge. And what would a birthday party be without a birthday cake? Canada's birthday cake was cut up and passed around for everyone to enjoy. Bingo was the next order of business, much to the delight of all the bingo lovers. The family dance got underway at 9 p.m. Everyone seemed to enjoy the Canada Day celebrations.
Singing his song. All the little birds on Jaybird Street love to hear the robin go tweet, tweet, tweet. Rockin' robin, tweet, tweet. Rock, rock, rockin' robin, tweet, tweet. Roll, rockin' robin, 'cause we're really gonna rock tonight. Tweet, tweet. Get out in that kitchen and rattle up pots and pans. Get out in that kitchen and rattle up pots and pans. I roll my breakfast 'cause I'm a hungry man. I said
took our cameras to the fire hall on Wednesday of this week to see how the renovations were coming along. With only 1 week left in the project, the workers are busy getting things clued up. When we visited, one worker was taking out floor tiles and cleaning up the area to make way for the new floor covering. Most of the others were painting, vacuuming, and putting down new floor tiles and molding. We took a look around at the new offices. This is the town manager's office. Here are the BDDB offices. The outer office is for Teresa Peterson, and this office will be the development officer's office. And they're still in the process of moving their things back in. This space is reserved for the mayor's office. The council chambers has been completed except for floor covering, which will be installed at a later date. On the outreach side of the building, there are many improvements as well. For example, the lobby area for the HRD has been made larger. There is a larger storage area. Jerry's former office is now Eda's office. Across from the hallway is the coffee room. At the end of the hallway is the storage area for the BDDB. And the last door on the right side of the corridor is Jerry's office. The outside of the new extension has been completely completed. The workers should be proud of the fine workmanship gone into this project, and we have a town office we can be proud of. Student summer employment is down this year from last year. In 1999, the Summer Career Placement Program was successful in finding placements for 35 students. This year, only 27 students were successful in finding summer employment. 3 employers were awarded placements but declined to take part in the program. Other organizations that applied for summer career placements were unsuccessful in obtaining summer students. Approximately 18 students applied for summer jobs but were unsuccessful in finding a placement. The students were unable to find summer jobs as joined the odd job squad with the hope that they will be able to do some odd jobs around town, thus earning a little money to go towards furthering their education. Stay tuned for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
Come for a good time and we'll sweep you off your feet with jigs and reels and festivals and the world's most friendly folk. Dance your cares away at the Kelligrew Soiree. Imagine that.
Now it's time for us to meet the new Mountie. Good morning.
Good morning, and how are you?
I am fine. How are you?
Not too bad.
That's
Not
good.
too bad.
You want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Constable John Power. For most people, I don't like being called Constable or Mister. I like to be called John in most cases, especially with the younger ones. It's more informal that way. I'm originally from Kentville, Nova Scotia, 34 years old, divorced at this point in time, and I attended Acadia University from 1984 till 1988. I have a 4-year business degree in marketing. Was lucky enough, fortunate enough to get into the RCMP in 1993. It was a long process. I was 27 when I got in. I had a lot of difficulties changing provinces and so on after university before I got in. But it was a long drawn-out process, but it was well worth it. When I got in 1993, I spent 7 months in Montreal on French language training with the RCMP, and then continued on to Regina for another 7 months, and returned to Macadam, New Brunswick, which is a small town approximately 10 minutes from the main Canada border. We patrolled an area there that was approximately an hour from one end to the other at regular driving speed. It was a small town, very much like Burgeo. Of course, there was no water, it was in the woods. Still had the same problem with the moose and the animals on the highway. And I worked there for 5.5 years and was transferred to Burgeo. I arrived here on the 21st day of June.
So this is your second.
This is my second posting, yes.
Oh,
it is.
very good.
It is.
This your first time to Newfoundland?
My first time to Newfoundland. When I came across on the ferry on the 21st of June, it was, excuse me, my first time in Newfoundland.
Oh, very
I
good.
was very surprised when I got here. I had different people tell me why they call it the Rock, and I found out very quickly. But I've never been to Newfoundland in my life before.
Okay, so what do you think of it so far?
I love it. I love it. one thing that I found about Burgeo since being here is versus where I used to be. Now, there was a lot of good people there as well, of course, but one thing I found about Burgeo is people are very friendly here. They seem to go out of their way to talk to you, you know, and everybody waves on the street, and which is nice. It's a great opportunity for me to get to know some new people and get involved in different communities, like I was in the Lions Club over in Macadam, which I want to do here as well. I've been approached by other groups. I've already joined with the Ground Search and Rescue group, and there'll be other committees and community activities that I want to be involved in. Once summertime's a little slow, of course, because school, so you don't get involved as much in the school system, but that's something that I plan on doing in the fall. Because it's, you know, I think my view on things is that the majority of your work, if you're going to be doing this job, is you have to be involved with the youth, because that helps create a little bit of a better atmosphere with the younger people. And if they feel that they can trust you and they can talk to you and they can approach you, if they feel that you're approachable, then it's going to solve problems down the road, because that's something, if they feel comfortable with you, it may be something that's going to resolve problems down the road. Where if you come into town with a holier than thou attitude and jump all over everybody right from the very beginning, and that's not something, like I was mentioning before, it's not saying that I won't do my job, because I certainly will do my job if necessary in that situation, given everything, you know, if need be, things will be done, and they'll be done my way. But my attitude is I do everything on an attitude test. Somebody is nice to me and they don't give me any problems, that's exactly the way they're treated back. And I find that's worked for me in the past, and it's coming from a small community. I know what it's like to live in a small community. There's some things in a small community that you don't get in the big cities. You know, the contacts that you get with working in a larger center, like maybe Stephenville or Corner Brook or someplace like that, you may see somebody once and never see them again. Here, everybody, the adults and the youth as well, I'm going to be seeing them on a regular basis. And I want them, you know, to understand that right from the beginning that I'm fair, and I'm willing to listen to what they have to say. I may not always agree with it, but I'm willing to listen and do the best job that I can.
Wow, lovely. Do you have any hobbies?
Hobbies? At this point, it's settling in and so on. There's things that I'm not able to do. I do play baseball. I do play hockey occasionally. I haven't had the opportunity to do that for several years because in Macadam, it's very much like Burgeo. We had an outdoor rink, and half the time it didn't. We didn't have an ice surface to work on. But I'm not a good hockey player. I played high school hockey. I wrestled. I was on a wrestling team in high school and in university, so I did a little bit of that. I haven't been doing it as much lately because of work and the transfer and so on, but I do a lot of weightlifting as well. One of my true loves, is old cars. I've got an old car of my own, which unfortunately I couldn't bring to Burgeo because it's the salt air and so on, and I've got several $1,000s invested in it. It's a 1970 Challenger convertible, which I've got almost $20,000 invested in, so it's in storage now for the next couple of years while I'm here in Burgeo. My dad has a couple of old 57 Ford Fairlane 500s, so I was the type of kid raised in an environment with my friends and so on. The majority of my friends are in Nova Scotia, which is where I grew up. And we all grew up together, and it was more so than the sports aspect. Like, I consider myself what you call sports illiterate in a lot of cases. Football, baseball, or basketball, things like that. I'm not very good at it, but I'm willing to do whatever I can to help out. But I spent most of my time as a youth with motorcycles, snowmobiles, cars. I've had several old cars, Barracudas and Challengers over the years. I've had eight of them. I used to drag race, and I used to race dirt bikes, like not on a semi-competitive basis with the the full race dirt bikes, till I had an unfortunate accident in 1991 and broke both of my arms, and which was 2 weeks before I was supposed to go to Regina with the RCMP, and it set me back a year and a half. But I finally did get in after a year and a half. But I had to wait for everything to heal up. But I had an accident on my bike, which was one of those situations that could have been a lot worse. But I spent about a week and a half in the VG hospital in Halifax afterwards with my arms in cast for 9 weeks afterwards. But it was just one of those things that happened.
Very good. So where from Nova Scotia in particular?
I'm originally from Kentville, or actually a place called Colebrook, which is just west of Kentville. I don't know anybody in the Burgeo area that would be
I think so.
familiar.
They probably do. There's a lot of people from Burgeo.
Yeah, I've spoken with many people since I've been here that go to that area picking apples in the fall and so on. It's just actually one of the young fellows here in town that I spoke with, he goes over and picks apples in the fall for a fellow I graduated from high school with.
Well,
at Sartsfield Foods.
small world.
And, but it's apple country.
Yeah.
And I don't know, some people would probably recognize the name Scotian Gold. Scotian Gold apples, Scotian Gold jams, jellies, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
I worked for them, I started with them when I was 12 years old.
Yes.
They had a little roadside food market, that sort of thing. I worked there from, I started when I was 12. I worked there until approximately 21 when I finished university. I worked in different areas, like they have a fertilizer plant, they have the apple packing plant, they have a farm supplies division, they have the roadside canteen. I transferred over. I worked in farm supplies for approximately 3 years. I drove a truck selling farm chemicals, fertilizer, feeds, all that sort of stuff, as well as working in the farm store.
So what made you decide to become an RCMP officer?
What made me decide to become an RCMP officer?
You said you had a degree in
Very good
market,
question. Very
market
good
management,
question.
right?
Yeah, with I have a Bachelor of Business Administration from Acadian. I guess I was in the situation that I don't have anybody in the family that's in the RCMP, but the RCMP was something that always intrigued me from the time I was probably 15 years old. I made up my mind that that's what I was looking towards. Was eventually getting into the RCMP in some aspect. My original intention of going to university was to get a degree because being unilingual English, coming from Nova Scotia, and at that time, and it still is very competitive to get into the RCMP, and they told me that the only way that I would be accepted is I would have to have something else to add to it, so I should have a degree, which I intended on going to university anyway. So what my intentions were is I thought possibly that I'd get into corporate law, and I was going to go through business and then try to get into the law facet of things and maybe continue on from there. But the RCMP has always been my first choice, right from the time I was 15, 16 years old. It's always what I've wanted to do. My dad wanted to get into the RCMP, but because of some medical problems, he couldn't get in when he was younger. But I always found that I found myself that I'm a people person, and I enjoy working with the public. I found that even when I was in high school, I was class president in grade 12, and I was one of those people that a lot of my peers would come and talk to me about this, that, and the other thing, and I enjoy working with people. And the law enforcement aspect of things is to me, it's not secondary, but it's being able to go out and do something different every day. Now, out of university, I worked sales jobs. I was fortunate enough to be accepted to a company called More Business Forms. It's the largest forms manufacturer in Canada. They make checks, statements, and so on and so on. And I worked sales for 4.5 years, and I worked for Cantel, selling cellular phones and so on, for 11 months before I got accepted into the force. And it was just, I enjoyed it, but it was the same old thing every day. One thing about the RCMP is there's always something different, and you have an opportunity to interact with all kinds of people, interact with the youth, interact with the, totally different facet of people. And I guess my decision was it was just something that was always my love and always my intention to become an RCMP officer. And another aspect of it, which is, it's not, I consider it kind of secondary to it, but really, I've worked private sector jobs, I've worked sales jobs, and the RCMP pays well, and you can't make that kind of money out in private sector unless you're, but I just wasn't cut out for business. It wasn't what I wanted to do. And I always had it in the back of my head that this is what I was going to do. And I've loved every minute of it since I've been in.
That was lovely. Thank you very much for speaking with us.
You're quite welcome.
And we look forward to seeing you around town, I'm sure we will.
I'll be around town, and I can certainly say that I look forward to the opportunity to meet each and every one that lives here in Burgeo and surrounding areas, and I'll certainly do my best to be part of the community and help everybody out the best way that I can. Like I say, I'll do my job when necessary, but feel free at any time to come speak to me, because I'm always available, and anything I can do to help out, feel free to let me know. Thank you.
The Anglican Church of Vistry held their parish fair on Thursday of this week. This was the place to be on Thursday if you wanted fun, fun, fun. The day started with the ever-popular craft and bake sale. There was a table set up for an odds and ends sale. There were several items for you to buy tickets on if you wished, including this beautiful painting, painted and donated by Brian Dix and won by Eva Dalman. There was a gift cake. You could take a guess as to what was hidden under the cake. The winner went home with the cake as a prize. Canteen services was available all afternoon. You could treat yourself to fries, hot dogs, or pop. These two young ladies were busy face painting for the younger people. There was also jigs for the children, a dollar table, and games of chance for their amusement. The potluck supper got underway at 5 p.m. Bingo started at 6:30 p.m. for all the bingo lovers. It was a very successful and enjoyable day. The Vistry members would like to thank everyone who came out and supported the parish fair. Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
There's gannets and puffins, kittiwakes and murres, guillemots, petrels and owls. And you can see where the eagle has landed. Imagine that.
Off the Rack. This week as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of another Anglican church fair. Let's look back to July 1996. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night.